All right, let's make St. Basil's Cathedral. So to start with, we're going to make these onion domes. And I would start with the middle one and start at the top. So the onion dome, it's almost like an upside down heart. And you can kind of make that a little more fat and rounded. I'm just going to get it started here. Then you're going to kind of put a little, sort of like a little rectangle underneath. Then from here, we're going to make 2 diagonal lines coming out. We're going to connect it, but do this with a little bit of a rounded line. That helps indicate that it's circular. I'm going to come down from that a little bit on both sides. We'll do it again. Okay, so that's the top, and then I'm going to come out from here. It's kind of like I'm repeating it. It's just layers. So it looks more complicated than it is. This is going to be curved. I'm going to come around here. And then we're going to kind of make the base of it. They kind of look like candles. These do. This little stylized version of it. Okay? So there's one. Now let's do another one. So I'm going to start over here because I just want to. This time I'm going to go lower. This one's going to be the tallest. This next one's going to be lower. So I'm going to start. And I'm going to bring it kind of close so it's okay for them to overlap. In fact, St. Basil's Cathedral actually does overlap, so it would be a good thing to do that. So we've got that. And we'll do the same thing basically. So we've got one of those. We'll round this one off. Looks like it's got shoulders. We'll come in here. And we'll come down. Now it's starting to overlap. That's all right. I'm going to do this little number. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to end up erasing a lot of this because this is coming out so wide. But that's okay. In fact, I'm just going to make a curve here and a curve here. Okay, and we'll leave that open because otherwise I'm going to end up erasing a lot of that. So I'm going to make my third one here. This one's going to be smaller. Just making my onion. And we're going to come down here to this little thing. Now this is, I'm going to draw over it and then I'm going to erase. So I'm going to curve on both sides. I'm going to close it up. Come down. This one's going to go out. I'm just going to let it go out. I'm going to curve. I'm going to come down. Now I want it to come down further than this one because otherwise it won't make sense. So I'm going to curve there. Then I'll erase out these pieces. Okay, so now let's do this side. So this one, I'm going to let it be close to that, but it's not going to be that tall. So I'm going to make my onion. That one's really kind of curvy. They probably all should have been that way. That's okay. Notice I went a bunch on that just to get it the way I liked it. That's okay to do. So I'm going to go this way here again. This time, I'm going to make it look like it's got like a scarf on. And I'm going to kind of make a dome coming out on each side here. We'll close it up. And then we'll come down a little bit and curve. All of my horizontal lines have a slight curve to them. You want to do that so it looks rounded. Come down a little bit here and curve. And then I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do it here. And I'm even going to let it look like it's tucked behind here. So I'm going to go lower with my onion. Give it a base. I'm going to do the curvy deal again here. It's like parentheses. Think of it as parentheses. This time I'm going to let it kind of come out like a so. I'll let it do this kind of deal. Actually, it's going to look better if I do this. And then I'm going to curve like a so, and then I'm going to curve like it's a dress. Curve here. And I'm getting close to the end. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to end up making this one longer. In fact, I'm going to make this one longer too. So that, because when you're overlapping, you want whatever's farther away. You don't want it to come below this, because then it doesn't add up. So I'm going to extend this one. So it's long, but don't let it go off the page, okay? If you go off the sides or the top, it's one thing, but if you go off the bottom, that's poor composition. Okay, so I'm going to bring that one down, and then I'm actually going to extend this and make it look longer. So it comes pretty low, and that really starts to stagger. See where you can see how these stagger? That makes for an interesting composition. And so then I'm going to come down here a little bit, curve this one, and voila, I have my domes. Now my favorite onion is this one. So I might go in and just kind of work these a little bit more. Give them a little bit more curve to them. I mean, this is a whimsical painting. That's what it's going to end up being. So the more kind of stylized it is, probably the more interesting it looks like. You know what they look like? They look like Hershey Kisses. Putting Hershey Kisses on the top. They shouldn't be onion domes. They should be Hershey Kiss domes. That's what they look like. So now I'm going to take my eraser and kind of clean up that line, because that's going to be really important to follow here shortly. Do you hear that noise in the back? I told you guys the other day about the dog. That's the dog. I'm refraining from fussing, but you can know that I, deep down, want to fuss at the dog. Okay. So we've got that. Now I am a little off-centered because it goes off here and it doesn't go off here. So how can I solve that? Maybe I'll put it's good balance because it's 5. But maybe, well, we're just going to leave it like that. You center yours better. All right, once you have all of your domes drawn, then what you're going to do is you're going to start adding pattern to all of these. St. Basil's Cathedral is full of different patterns. So it doesn't really matter if it's accurate or not to the real St. Basil's, because actually this drawing is not accurate to it. But it's kind of like it's inspired by it. But it's not actually that particular one. So you can start by just adding some different patterns to it. Don't make them too complicated, okay? Just kind of simplified patterns to them, however you want them to be. But whatever you do, you have to commit to seeing it through, not rushing the pattern when you get ready to add color to it. That's really important. So you may go like, what? What I mean by that is you make a pattern, then you need to be prepared that you're going to add color and you're going to treat each of the shapes in the pattern. So my suggestion to you is make your patterns bigger than what your initial thought might be. So I can repeat some of these, or I can be different. Maybe this one gets a little cross section there. And I'm going to let this one repeat though. Okay, so I did my domes, but you're going to keep going with it, okay? Ideally, let me go ahead and give you a preview of what's coming. You're filling all of these in, okay, with different patterns. So that's why if you look in the classwork, there is a pattern sheet to give you some suggestions. And that's all they are, is suggestions. You do what you want to do with them, but they will be helpful to you. So let's see here. I'm going to put in my patterns. And I'm repeating. See, this is here, this is here. I'm probably going to repeat it over here somewhere. Here, I'll repeat it over here. Actually, well, yeah, we'll repeat it over here. And that's okay too, because when you're repeating these things in multiple places, what you're doing is creating balance. So like here, and I'll do this one here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try a slick move here. I'm moving right along here. Okay, I've got 2 domes done, and I'm going to keep working here. there's not a wrong way to do this. Just filling with patterns. But again, don't make your patterns so teeny tiny that they're unmanageable. It's better to go simple. Now I know mine are a little more not simple than what I'm telling you to do, but you know, keep that in mind as you're working. Just go simple. It's okay. It's okay to be simple. And if you notice, I'm just repeating kind of the same things in different places over and over again. Okay? Now, every time I'm making kind of a door, I am trying to make it like a door frame. I forgot to do that here. So it's like, I'm just trying to make different patterns. You can go back to your patterns from the Finding Nemo doodle. That might help you. I've repeated. So it's okay to do that. I like the little scallop thing, so I'm going to do that. I've done that. I'll repeat it. Okay, last one. Let's see. I've got kind of a door on most of them. This one doesn't. It's like the door might be on the back, so maybe this will be the same way. Let it have big squares. And there you go. There's my drawing, step 1 and step 2. So step 1, you're drawing the domes, buildings, and then step 2, you're adding the patterns to them. Now again, I have a tendency to go overboard, and so mine are really full of patterns. You don't have to be that detailed, but if you look closely at my patterns, there are a lot of just stripes and scallops that I've repeated. Okay? Alright, so do steps 1 and 2. Step 3, you're going to outline everything with a black Sharpie. It needs to be a black permanent marker because we're using markers to color, and if you don't use a black Sharpie and you use like a Crayola marker, it's going to bleed and make this painting messy. So just use a black Sharpie. If you don't have a black Sharpie, use an ink pen. Okay? That's just going to help it pop. Okay? Magic. There's one. Now, as you're tracing, make sure that you are taking your time. You're going over the lines that you created. This is not meant to be messy. It needs to be controlled. And you need to think about your craftsmanship. When I say that, I mean how you're working. Does it look sloppy? It shouldn't. You need to take your time with it and make it look neat. I've said before, there's a place for messy art, and then there's a place for clean, nice lines. And this is it. It's not realistic. It's fun and whimsical. But at the same time, it's nice and clean and neat. You say, but I'm not clean and neat. Well, learn to be clean and neat. There's a time and a place for all kinds of different styles. And learning to be controlled and having patience will carry through in all sorts of other facets of your life and jobs you may have that may have nothing to do with art. So just be really controlled with your design. Almost there. We've got 2 more. All right. Oh, forgot these. Once you get everything outlined with the Sharpie, then take an eraser, and it's an important step to make sure you don't forget this one. Take an eraser and now go over everything. So you erase out the pencil lines that did not get covered. If you do not erase them, then they'll still be there when you start adding the color. And it just doesn't look as professional. So you want it, when you erase it like this and then we start adding color, it's going to look like we just drew it with a Sharpie, because we're just like that good to freehand it with a Sharpie. And we could have. But, you saw, like I made some mistakes that we'll call them like design changes. And sometimes when you go over with the Sharpie, then the Sharpie's obviously wider than a pencil. You go over it just a little bit differently to make sure that it looks right. Like, and you have those spaces in between. Okay, the next step is we're going to take some Crayola markers and we are going to outline the outside of each shape of the dome. Okay, so what I mean by that is you're going to come around, make sure you want to stay in the lines of these. You're just outlining around the outside shape of the dome. So I did orange there just to make it work good and balanced. I'm just going to keep the orange and I'm going to go around here. I'm kind of tilting it sideways so I get a nice thick line. You're not coloring it in. I repeat, you're not coloring it in. You're just outlining different shapes of the dome. Change colors. I'm going to save purple because I want purple to be my sky. I want it to be like a night sky. So I'm going to do green. You're going to keep doing this until all of your sections have an outline. And don't worry if it's not like looking perfect. It's okay. You might be limited in colors, and that's all right. Just repeat them. I'm not going to put green right down here because I want that to be green. this section be green. Okay, you're just going to keep doing this until all of your sections have an outline. Oop, I went over. Don't do that. It's not the end of the world if you did it, but try not to do that. Okay? Okay, so we've got everything outlined with some color. It already sort of looks neat. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take a brush, or you could take a Q-tip. They work too. You're going to dip it in water, and you're just going to kind of go over it, and it's going to pull the colors, fill in the space. Now, that was an orange. I'm going to go ahead and just do all my oranges, because you'll want to make sure that you clean your brush in between your colors, because otherwise, see, like that pulled up a little bit of blue, and if you're not careful, you can make a muddy mess. So you've got to stay controlled. Is that all my oranges? I think so. So I'm going to clean off my brush and dip it back in water again. Do another color. I'm going to do this like sea foamy green color. There's another one. There's one. So it's kind of fun to do this. And it's painting, but it's controlled. Let's go for the red. So what I did is I purposely am going to like avoid, or this is pink, I'm going to avoid where I just was, because otherwise it will start to bleed. So that was a pink. This is a pink. And if, as you're working, if you're like, my markers are going out, that's actually not a bad thing. Markers that are going out blend really well, like this. The top of this one is the pink as well. If it's not pulling for you very well, add more water. So it might be that you have to let it dry in between pieces, but what's really cool, we've been talking about values, is it creates light and dark values within it. Now that one wanted to kind of hover on the edges, so I'm just going to kind of go back over it and pull it and push it. Again, I'm going to skip a space in between. You want them to kind of dry a little bit between where you go, because like I said, it will bleed into each other, and it doesn't take long for it, depends on how much water you put in for you to go around. Almost there. Do you like the way it's turning out? Told you it was going to be colorful, and it is. And I love color. Color makes me happy. We talked about comfort last week. I should have put color down. I find comfort in color. It doesn't look like it's covering, but it is. It is yellow there. on the blue. It's pretty potent. Oh, I forgot a spot. So for that spot that I forgot, I'm going to wait till these dry a little bit, and then I'll add a color in. Okay, so here's all the colors, and they're colored. So stay tuned to see what happens next in the next video. Bye for now.